Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Creature Corner, which is, of course, the GDQ Hotfix show that features games that feature primarily non-human protagonists. And we're back with an absolute banger of a night. 2 games that you will see at SGDQ if you tune in on the very first day of the marathon, Sunday, and you'll see them back-to-back just like you are tonight. It's Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and Okami HD. Some absolute classic creature games starring some incredible creatures that can do some things that maybe their real-life counterparts cannot. You'll just have to wait and see. But first, we've got Sonic the Hedgehog 2 by Joey Baby. This is going to be Sonic Beat the Game, so that's going to be a little bit different than you're going to see Super Sonic do collect all the emeralds at SGDQ. And then we're going to see Lego do NG plus all brushes, which is going to be a little bit different than the run of Okami that you're going to see at SGDQ as well. So we're bringing you the games, but we're bringing you a little bit of extra bonus variety. That's what you come to Hotfix for, the bonus content, and that's what you're getting. So let's celebrate Sonic's birthday week with Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic Beat the Game with Joey Baby. Speed on forward for us.
All right. Welcome everyone to Sonic 2. As Satan has just spoken, this will be at SGDQ as well, ran by Super Sonic, collecting all the emeralds. But we're not gonna have a little Easter egg hunt here. We're gonna go full on, full speed, no emeralds, no shenanigans, go as fast as possible, all the glitches in our disposal. So one thing I will say is that this game's timing method is RTA minus time bonus. So this game has a very unique way of timing because the faster you are, the more time bonus you get, which means technically RTA-wise, the slower you are in raw RTA, which is really strange. So we subtract a lot of that. So it's our way of how we like time a lot of things. So it's cool seeing like the instances where you would lose time compared to just actually going faster. It's really strange, but like a lot of the community has messed with a lot of different developments over the course of this of his entire history back in SDA days, developing strats and getting to where we are today. So hopefully, we can see a good showcase of how much the game has evolved. And I think like this game has so much potential of like optimization and possibly things that we haven't discovered yet, because there's a lot of things that has been found relatively recently, at least in my interpretation, what recent means. But yeah, I think that this history of this game is really cool. It's been around for as long as you can possibly remember, 30-year-old history. And yeah, I think let's just get it going. So I'm running on the classic Sonic compilation cartridge, which you saw there was a lineup of games. You saw Sonic 1, Sonic 2, and Sonic Mean Bean Machine. There is a very particular reason why I run this version, which we'll get to it when we get to it. So I'm going to decide to do is going to just go with the options menu. So it's just, we have more time to talk about this stuff. So the difference between the two is a particular glitch at one of the last levels in the game, which will save us time when we get to it, of course. But yeah, so I think we should get started. I'll count it down from 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Thank you. So the first level, Emerald Hill, a very simple strat if it goes well. We're gonna take the top path here. We're gonna take the speed shoes. We're gonna run up the ramp here, bounce off this monitor, bounce off that monitor, bounce off this bagnet, and bounce off that bagnet. And we get to the very end of the stage here. Take the momentum all the way to the end, and we get a nice 20 right there.
I was not aware that Sonic was a rabbit, but I think now he's a rabbit.
He's a great bouncer. It's one of the few things that one thing you'll learn where you really take a lot of the momentum from the speed shoes and just glide along throughout the level, and they're nicely placed enemies and objects to allow you to get the bounces so you don't even interact with the bottom route there, which is really nice. So we're gonna take the top path here. We're gonna take a nice small jump to go through the middle section, to go straight to the bottom, slightly slow down to avoid the spike, make a jump to the middle cave in the section there, and we'll come straight to the boss fight. So this is one of the first instances of Tails manipulation. We're gonna have 4 hits to come into this fight here. We're gonna time a jump, so Sonic gets hit, but then Tails gets the hit for us, and we use Sonic's iframes to get hits after Tails has delivered his hits. So I was able to get a pretty nice time afterwards, so we get a really optimal boss fight there. just for that alone. Now, Chemical Plant 2, there is going to be a tight block cycle I'll try to make, which helps us get a 20 IGT time. It requires me to go really fast and optimizing my spin dashes. So it requires us to like get a lot of momentum boosts and get really precise jumps from each slope. So we barely did not make that one there. So for spin dashing in this game, you can do a max amount of revs. There's a maximum amount of inputs to rev up your spin dash to get the optimal speed. So there you can do a 1-tap spin dash, a 2-tap spin dash, 3-tap, 4-tap, 5-tap, and the fastest is a 6-tap. And when I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-tap, I mean you genuinely press the action button 6 times in a very short proximity of time. And that allows you to gain a lot of speed to the initial spin dash. There's a lot of variety of speed is useful at different scenarios, but they all like have their uses. So here's the first major glitch in the run. It's going to require me to be in position on the edge of the block, which allows you to clip inside of the wall and zip all the way to the second half of the level. Ooh. So this trick is really funny and based off how this was discovered. So I would say a lot of the Sonic community and veterans of the speedrun space for this game is really proficient in like finding strats and like finding new ways to break this game. That was found by a 13-year-old playing the Nintendo Switch Online version of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. It was posted on my chat on a random Twitch clip and saying like, "Oh my god, I found something." And I was like, "All right, let's see what this is." And I'm like, like, what is this? So shout outs to Cubby Cat. That was the person who found it. I think that was like one of the like coolest discoveries in this game for sure.
That's incredible.
Like it just caught us like off guard of how that was discovered. So anyway, this is Aquatic Ruin Act 1. Pretty simple level. Well, you want to just stay top path, take the speed shoes and ride it all the way to the end. And we'll ride this to get a 22. I say done. So Aquatic Ruin Act 2, the start is going to be sub-pixel manipulation. So what we're going to do is intentionally do a 3-tap spin dash into another 3-tap, and that will give us the exact speed / position to do as jump to get a boost into the air using one of the springs in the water. So we're going to do a 3-tap into 3-tap. If done right, I'll maneuver past this block, make a jump at a 2-frame window, and land on this spring, get the maximum height to reach the top.
Ooh,
if I am off by any position or pixel, yeah, it's really awesome. When I'm off at any position, I can just get no jump at all. So I'm going to intentionally pause here, because I'm trying to hit a window. So I'm going to try to get this first before I explain. Nicely done. Okay, so that is a explosion skip. So normally Robotnik explodes and then he moves away, but if you hit him on the frame, he switches animation. So from flying left to dropping the hammer. If you hit him on the frame, he switches. The game just skips the explosion animation and it messes up the sprites, which you saw like the animals inside the castle was roadkill for a bit.
I was gonna say that those like, flickies do not look okay.
It messed a couple of things up, but you know it speeds it up by a good 4 seconds. It's nice. So here's a little zip we can try to do. I'm gonna try to be a little focused here because there is a chance to soft block this. Okay, we did it. Okay, cool. So that allows you to clip through the floor using the block that's dropping down, and you get to a spot where like pretty under the level. And that allows you to like zip all the way to the end. So something I didn't explain yet because we haven't had much time to like be in the walls or whatever. When you're inside of a wall, when you move left, you go right. When you go right, you go left. So it's kind of the game trying to eject you off the wall. So it gives you like backwards momentum, like fighting against your inputs. So if I'm holding left the whole way, I'm basically zipping all the way to the right, which is like makes us just go all the way to the end of the level. So I'm gonna attempt to do the hardest trick in the run. It's going okay so far. And I somehow got it. Okay, so that is the hardest trick to do in the run. It's a 3 to 4 frame perfect trick where you use the momentum from the floor to get zip speed, and you basically clip into a wall because you go so off screen. The objects are off screen. When objects are off screen, they are deloaded. They're not physically there. So because of that, we hit against a wall that normally has a monitor in the way. Like a monitor is like against a wall, but you basically contact that wall before the monitor loads in. And once the monitor loads in, it clips you in the wall, which allows you to get the zip speed you need to reach all the way to the end of the level by going to the front of the level. So that is called a level wrap. What a level wrap is you basically go so fast to the left, you basically underflow your X coordinates. And that allows you to get to the far right of the level, which hence is the end of the level. There's a few spots in the game where that's applicable, but that's like probably one of the major ones in the entire game, because that saves like probably like 7 to 8 seconds, which is a very nice time save to get.
And you just casually fell in the lava and clipped through the entire floor while explaining that. This is incredible.
Oh yeah, sorry, that was Hilltop 1. I didn't explain anything there. So. When you take damage, you're in iframes. So basically, when the platform drops down, you have iframes, so you don't get hit by the lava. But because you're sinking so far down, you are basically going inside another wall again. If you use that wall to zip to the end of the level, well, zip to another portion of the level, I should say, and you manipulate iframes to get to the end of the level. So, okay, so I'm trying to make a cycle. I'm not gonna make it the fastest cycle because I made an unfortunate drop there, but it'll be fine. I'll get this one. So the beginning of the level is meant to be able to go fast enough to get a faster cycle in the cave section. Oh yeah, that's a monitor zip. So, so that is, if you do a 2-tap spin dash right against it, you clip past it, and you're once again inside of a wall. So you can use that zip speed to skip the entire cave section of the second half of the level, which is pretty dope, and it saves you like 4 to 5 seconds, which is really nice.
Wow.
All right, not too shabby. Okay.
First time we've had to breathe in like 10 years. This game is great.
Yeah, so the next level is Mystic Cave 1. I'll promise you it's not there's not much to talk about, but there's like a couple cute things. This would be considered like one of the more tamer levels in the run, minus a few spots. So there is a frame perfect jump to get. If you do a 6-tap and jump on the very edge of that little cliff there, you can make it up there, which I unfortunately didn't do. So we're gonna have to like wait for like some spike platforms to come up, and we'll be able to get right through it. So we're gonna get up here, gonna make a jump using the invincibility that we just got prior to get on top of that spike to jump on top of the bridge before we even opened it. And we're gonna die. So I didn't get to switch around the other way. Yeah, so unfortunately this game, or at least that level specifically, when you die. There was no checkpoint throughout that whole level. So we're gonna have to unfortunately do that again. So maybe I can showcase the jump correctly this time. Okay, I certainly did not do it this time. So we're gonna come back here. We're gonna do the exact same thing I did before. Jump up this, use the invincibility, get up here, not make it up there. We're gonna make it up here this time. Rest assured. All right, so here's what's supposed to happen this time. All right, I got it over there.
Excellent.
Yeah, so that's pretty unfortunate. You can see how close to the end of the level I was just in. It was just one spin dash away. But yeah, like that's the little risk you take for trying to be a smidget more optimal. Spin dashing off of the top of that vine allows you to just cruise through that. But obviously, if you're just a smidget too late or you get a little bad input error, you will take a death like that. So this level is kind of the same song and dance as Act 2. But there is one little section here. We do a 4-tap spin dash on a precise position and jump at the right time, which I didn't do, unfortunately. You're able to like kind of cruise through that midsection pretty cleanly. It's not the biggest time save, it's like a second or something. It's not the biggest thing in the world. But, you know, those little singular seconds is the difference maker between like PBing to record to, you know, saving a second in a level, you know. Those little time saves do add up.
They do, but this has been a really clean run. I've been enjoying myself very much, and it seems like chat has been as well. A lot of love for you. Quick question. How does this differ from what we're going to be seeing at SGDQ with the All Emeralds run?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the SGDQ run for Supersonic is going to feature all the emeralds. So that's going to involve a bit of more, shall we say, detours to acquire the 50 rings to trigger the special stages in the checkpoints. So it's going to be a lot of early game traversing to get all the emeralds. I'm going to do this little section here in the middle of the oil section. That's probably like one of the hardest like general strats to do, like if you're like starting off especially, because it requires like a lot of like you're basically kissing the death plane as you're going under the oil. But if you do that properly, you can just cruise through the midsection while sinking into the oil. Oh, yeah, but anyway, as I was saying, so one of the things that's funny for this game is that like, since the levels are so short, there's a lot of instances. When I say a lot of instances, I mean like 95% of the game, where the levels are just as fast by just playing it normally. So generally you don't see Supersonic as often, but it is smidget useful in some cases once you're like in the end game, or at least funny for certain showcases. So like going out of your way to gather 50 rings and then turning super and then beat the level is probably not as fast as just beating the level. Oh yeah, I got to the end of the boss, by the way. So when you're swimming under there, you trigger the screen lock that starts the boss fight, so the game kind of warps you up. So I'm basically beating the level while submerged in the oil the whole way, and once you get to the end, you basically just get forced upwards to the level, to the boss fight. And if you do enough damage to Robotnik in the first phase of that fight, you can basically you can destroy him before he gets to do his attacking phase of whatnot, which is really cool to get. It's a nice like 18-second time save.
Ooh, that's big in this game.
All right, so this is one of the newer strats found, quote unquote. Okay, there's a lot to unravel here. So I have a glitch that you're seeing for the first time. Okay, so when objects are off screen, if you are standing on it, it deloads. And when Sonic is standing on an object that no longer exists, the game is confused on how to properly position him. The game doesn't know what he's standing on, so he gets a really weird property called slope glitch. And what that allows him to do is he maintains the momentum or the angle that he's standing on. So if he stands on a slope and he starts going towards the ground, he starts sinking into the ground. And once you're in the ground, you're considered inside of a wall, which means he gets zip speed off of that. And we can use that to zip all the way to the end of the level by zipping to the beginning of the level, which we'll do again right here.
Oh my gosh, this is
there's some
so cool.
There's some terrain there that you can stand on, and if you position yourself just right, you just zip to the end. And we're gonna do it one more time in Metro 3. So this is the newest strat in the game that was found. When I say new, maybe like a year or two old. So what we're gonna do is manipulate Tails to delay him from keeping up with us. So I'll get to it when we talk about it. So I'm gonna position myself roughly here. This might be okay. I'm gonna pan the screen up. I'm gonna jump, and we have slope glitch somehow. So once again, I'm standing on an object, but when I pan the screen up, I make the platform very close to the edge of the screen from below. And then once Tails walks towards the platform, he forces the platform to drop. And because I'm so low into the screen, the platform eventually deloads while it's descending, which means it's deloaded. And if I jump away fast enough, the game will be confused on what I was just standing on a minute ago, which gives me the slope glitch. I stand on a slope, which allows me to maintain an angle to walk down left, sinking into the floor, be inside of a wall, and then zip by holding right to the end of the level by going to the very left boundary of the level. So you basically solve the entirety of Metro in like a minute and a half.
Incredible. It makes you wonder why they even put slopes in this game if the game was going to be so confused every time you so much breathe on it.
Yeah, I think it's a glitch that doesn't particularly involve a slope, but it's powerful when slopes are in play. It's more of a memory manipulation kind of thing where the thing that you're standing on isn't loaded in memory anymore because you deload it by making it go off screen, which gives you that weird property. And slope glitch on its own is pretty useless. It doesn't do too much for you until slopes are in the equation, because slopes are able to give you more radical angles, like more sharp angles to sink into the ground if you have like a slope by you. So that's why whenever I had slope glitch, I approach to a slope to sink me into the ground. So it gives me zip speed to transfer that speed to get to the end of the level by going fast enough to the left boundary from the start of the stage. So that's particularly why I guess that's why it's called slope glitch. Like, we're not the greatest in naming conventions, but like it's that's what it's been called for like 2 decades plus. I don't know who coined the term the first time. It might have been like a SDA forum somewhere, but all I know is that's what it's been called, and we just call it that ever since.
Well, why not? It's simple, it's effective. It's slope glitch.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. So despite all that, this is the one level where there's not much to talk about. This stage has not changed much for the past 30 years, so. I would love to say like, yeah, we broke the stage wide open. 2 minutes turns to 2 seconds. No, it's not the case here. So we're gonna just wait till it hits 2 minutes and 6 seconds, and we'll play the rest of the run out. So this will be a level where you see slope glitch one more time. It'll be actually useful in like 2 sections, and you're gonna see why I played the classic compilation version. I mentioned I was gonna tell you what was the reason I played this version. This is the reason why. So this classic version fixes a quote-unquote glitch that makes you fall off the platform in Sky Chase. But because of that, it also inadvertently... Oh, I died. Whoops. It inadvertently allows you to get slope glitch in that section there. So when the platforms deload, like as it's passing by, it's like going into a cycle. It's basically removes the object from your feet, which allows you to like get the slope glitch off of it. So it'll be useful for this section here. It doesn't save too much time, but it is faster by just doing this instead of like waiting out all those platform cycles. We're gonna get slope glitch one final time. We're gonna make this jump up this. Barely didn't make it, so we're gonna try to get it right here. All right, so I have a slope glitch, and I'm gonna do this fight a little differently than you're used to if it works out in my favor.
Bold of you to assume I ever got here as a kid in my original playthrough of Sonic 2.
All right, so we can hold a spin dash here, and he's dead.
That is definitely different than I would expect, though.
And then Sonic is broken. So the game doesn't know how to make him stand still while the game's trying to like teeter. So another quirk about slope glitch is that the game doesn't know what he's standing on, so he's always in a teetering animation, like he's like teetering, like he's in the edge of a slope or something, or a cliff. So the game is supposed to like make him stand still for that cutscene, but because he wants to teeter at the same time, the game just glitches out and just like gives him garbled mess, which is really funny. There's nothing fast about it; it's just a visual thing.
That's all right. I like things where we can laugh.
So here we have the final hurdle here. So this is the Death Egg robot. One of the hardest things in the run, at least especially in a PB pace of any kind, will be gaining a 1-cycle fight in the Death Egg robot, which is we dub it the 12-0, which basically means getting all 12 hits before he jumps up in the air. Most safe people go for a 9-3, which is 9 hits first phase, 3 hits on the second. We're gonna try to get all 12 at the start here.
All right, best of luck.
Okay. There we go.
Nice. Very good.
And that is time.
GG.
Thank you. Besides the 2 weird deaths I got, that was actually like, that's just as much as I wanted to showcase. Like all the hard stuff. I'm glad I got Casino Night 2. That's the one I was expecting to just mess up and just be like, all right, well, that would be a trick I would do, but too bad it's hard, so I guess I won't show it. I'm glad I showed it. So pretty happy with that, I gotta say.
Exactly. You're the GOAT, so why would anybody ever worry? It's all good.
Yeah, right? You know, just everything's all fine, you know, just do the thing.
Just play fast.
But yeah, I'm gonna give some shout outs. Definitely shout outs to the Sonic community at large. You guys are great. A lot of the things I've shown wouldn't have been possible without the help of community members really looking and sitting down and being in voice calls for hours on end, just discussing things and hypothesizing on what's possible with this game. So shout outs to Iandis, the current world record holder for this game. Shout out to Zaxxon, the former record holder for this game. And you know, shout outs to Super Boom Van, you know, Cresm, one of the top dogs, tassers in our community. These people have done a lot to break the game to what it is today, and I can't thank them enough for really putting in the effort to show what this game is capable of when put into the right hands and showing off what can be done with this game. And of course, shout out to Supersonic, my brother, my boy. He's running at Summer Games Done Quick. He's the first run of the event, and I'll be in the couch for that. So Supersonic's the GOAT. He's gonna show a fantastic run of this. He's gonna go Easter egg hunting, getting the emeralds. So definitely different from what you saw here. So definitely give that a watch if you're around the block or you have some time in your hands to watch the event, especially when it's starting off, because we're gonna start it off with Sonic the Hedgehog too. But yeah, and of course, well, I almost forgot me. So I run Sonic games. Sonic's pretty dope. If this run ever piqued your interest and you were curious on what I'm up to, you can check me out twitch.tv/joeybaby69. Sonic 2 is what I go for the most. I do other games as well. I also speedrun Mischief Makers on N64. I've been going for good times for that. That's like kind of like my game I go to if I'm a little burnt out for Sonic 2, but I go a little back and forth. I play Sonic 1, Sonic 3 and Knuckles, Sonic CD, Sonic Mania, Sonic Pocket Adventure, if you ever heard of that one. A little Neo Geo heavy sleeper there. But yeah, I think that it is it for me, I think. But yeah, sick game. Thank you for having me, Satan. It's funny saying that sentence. I appreciate you having me here. When I got the invite, I'm like, word? I'm down.
Well, I'm really glad that you wanted to come on the show and show off that incredible game and your incredible commentary. You talked through all of that and explained everything really well. Absolutely incredible. Chat, if you want to check out what Joey Baby does, then yeah, just go ahead and follow his channel. And also continue staying on our channel because we're going to have something real fun coming up soon. It is Okami HD with Lego and G+. Welcome back, everyone, to Creature Corner, and we've got a really cool run coming up for y'all soon. It is Okami HD by Lego. We're going to be showing off a really cool category and G+ Ball rushes, but before we get into that, I'd like to say that our Hotfix summer merch collection is now live. You can head over to theyeti.com/GDQ to check out our brand new Hotfix shirt, keychain, and sticker pack. So if you want to be decked out with some really cool stuff and celebrate Hotfix as a whole, well, maybe you're watching SGDQ or some other GDQ, definitely go ahead and head on over there. And continuing with our SGDQ first day theme, we've got the second run of SGDQ, well, the second game of SGDQ, Okami HD, NG+ all brushes by Lego. Paint the town, many colors.
Hey, yeah, so I'm Lego Regos. I'm redoing the run today. New Game Plus All Brushes is a pretty cool category, but as this is also a longer category, we'll just talk about it once we get into it. And I'm also joined by my co-commentator here, Oride.
Hello.
You want to introduce yourself?
I'm Oride. I am a longtime runner of this game. I also like to do some glitch hunting and routing in this game, and I'm really thankful to have the chance to co-commentate with Lego today.
Yeah. All right, well, I guess we'll just get started here. So, timer starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Would you like to start us off with a summary of the game?
Yeah, so Okami is 2006 action-adventure platformer with one of the main themes of it being that it has a painting-like art style. And so we play as the wolf goddess Amaterasu, who has the ability to paint on the world with her tail, actually. So that's sort of the main gimmick of the game, and we'll be using that along with some other things throughout the run.
Yep. So one thing you're going to see LEGO doing a lot is we're going to be jumping in and out of all of these cutscenes. Amaterasu has 3 speeds she can move at on the ground. There's walking speed, there's green dash, which is about 30% faster than walking, and gold dash, which is another 30% faster than that. We can get gold dash immediately. We can fill up our dash meter halfway just by doing a tackle. But to get gold dash, we need to dash for another 5 seconds after that. But we can preserve that through cutscenes as long as we jump into and out of them. We just got our first brush technique, that's rejuvenation. This lets us restore missing objects in the world, like this river here. And we're going to be moving on.
Sadly, rejuvenation is not one that we'll be using much in this run, since it tends to be limited to very specific timings, so not like a general use case power. Another thing I want to touch on is that along with jumping in and out of cutscenes, you also notice that I'll be bunny hopping sometimes. And that's because sometimes I'm going faster, and by bunny hopping, I'm going to keep that faster speed. So right here, I'm going to run down the slope, and then I'm going to bunny hop because running down slopes makes you a little faster, up to like 7% faster. But by bunny hopping and preserving that speed, you can gain a lot of time by doing that.
That's going to bring us to our next brush technique. This is Power Slash. If you've played the game casually, you'll know this is one of the best techniques for combat, but our abilities in combat in New Game Plus are so great that we're mostly just going to be using this in a few niche scenarios.
So right here is another example of me keeping that downhill speed as I keep going. Another thing that is interesting is that going uphill does also make you slower. But there's also another weird mechanic that was actually only discovered like 6 months ago, which is that by holding down a certain button, for some reason, just keeps you at like the normal flat ground speed. So when you're running uphill, by just holding down this button, you just go faster. That's it. You just hold down a button to go faster. It's very silly, but it's actually used throughout the run, because that's just, it's fast.
We call that technique ZR, but it's actually just whatever button is bound to the Fleetfoot ability, which is optional. And we never obtain it because it's slow, but not having it is actually quite fast, so it works out.
Mm-hmm.
So that will bring us to the end of the tutorial section. That's going to release that peach. That peach contains the souls of all of the villagers of Kamiki Village. The problem is that Kamiki Village is still kind of cursed by the cursed energy of the evil 8-headed dragon serpent demon Orochi. So they're all trapped in stone statues, but don't worry, they are okay. They're just a little stiff in the shoulders. We're gonna help them out a little later.
I'm just gonna say hi to this one real quick, and then we're gonna use probably the most important technique of New Game Plus runs, the Karma Transformers, which allow you to just jump as much as you'd like.
Yeah, so the Karmic Transformers...
To jump up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Keep jumping.
The Karmic Transformers, they're a cosmetics item that you get only in New Game Plus. And every time you switch them, if you are in midair and you input a tackle, the earliest frame after you close the pause menu, you actually get a ground tackle instead of an air tackle. And you can cancel that ground tackle into a jump, and you can chain them together indefinitely so you can get infinite jumps, which is very powerful and makes up the bread and butter of the speedrun. The downside, of course, is it is a little slow. It takes about a second each time to execute a KT. And, of course, it's frame perfect every time. So if you miss one, you can lose a fair bit of height, which does make it does add a fair bit of skill to the run. That's going to bring us to our first actual fight. Believe it or not, we have already skipped a couple fights just by running around their triggers. But this one is a little more difficult to skip. You're going to see a big menu from LEGO in which we're going to equip some weapons and use a really late game battle item, which just does a huge amount of damage to every enemy in the battle. And in this case, since they're early game enemies, they all die immediately.
That item is overpowered even if you're playing the game normally, pretty much. It's just doing a bunch of damage to every single enemy on the field will always be a very, very powerful concept.
I would have thought.
But in this run, it's especially powerful because we're able to carry them over into our New Game Plus file rather than needing to buy them like you would in a new game run.
And you're immediately going to see a very similar thing happening in the second fight. So this is introducing a few new types of enemies. The important thing for our perspective is you're going to notice LEGO is going to bark a lot. This is one of the best games ever created for the sole reason that it has a whole face button, which is dedicated to the verb of bark. So at any time that you are on the ground and don't have something in Ami's mouth, you can bark, and this does a few things for us. The most important thing is that if you are at the end of a fight, there's a brief delay before the results screen that tells you how well you did in the fight goes away, and you can skip about a second of that if you cancel it by pressing the bark or the start button. So we're going to be barking at the ends of fights a lot just to make them end a little faster. Another thing it does is it just brings up the HUD, which is sometimes useful, but not so much in this category where we don't really care about our stats. So
Now coming up here is another guy here. This is Susano, the guy we just saw here. Back in Kamiki Village, we were supposed to get introduced to him. For our purposes here, he's just kind of a little guy who's mad at the world, and so needs to show off how masculine and cool he is by cutting all these torches down, and then using his super powerful move against this sleeping bear. This, however, masks our true enemy, which you can see right in front of me, which is a ball. This ball is notorious for how difficult it can be to control. Now right here, I actually seem to have just done a near perfect ball movement, so I was pretty lucky. Most of the time I mess that up in some way or another and lose a couple seconds, but
believe it or not,
very nicely.
That ball is actually the final boss, the Emperor of Darkness, Yami.
It's true. It's true.
We'll be seeing more of him later. This brings us to our next brush technique. There's a lot of these in this game. We're going to be skipping a lot of them, by the way. But this one we can't skip. This is Bloom. This restores the power of Guardian Saplings, cleansing the local area of evil demons and pollution. And we do need this in order to progress through all the hub areas of the game.
Now, it is worth mentioning, we will not be skipping any of them, seeing as I am running the category New Game Plus All Brushes, because this category is dedicated to collecting every single brush power in the game, and on top of that, every single secret to brush power in the game that is not normally required to beat the game.
So we just skipped two more fights. One of them we had to jump over the trigger, but that last one we just slipped around it. Lots of oddly shaped fight triggers in this game. So now we return to Shinshu Field, and you can see it is very cursed. There's lots of black and red, ooey gooey vapors all over the place. But we're going to cleanse all of that just with a little swirl of our brush. And from here, the game is going to expect us to do a few different tasks in Shinshu Field before we progress. One of which is to obtain a couple more brush techniques. And we're going to be doing a little bit of that, but not maybe quite the way the game intends. So immediately, we're going to head off and actually start an optional side quest. This is not required to complete this side quest for this category, but the side quest has a tutorial It's about hunting specific enemies. They're called wanted list enemies. And the nice thing is you can only fight them at night, which means the tutorial will change it to night automatically so you can do one of these fights. You may notice that we are playing the game in Japanese. That means that you do need to memorize at least the shapes of the names of the enemies, because they are random, and we need to strike out the correct enemy on this list that's about to pop up. That one happened to be Izo, the string cutter, and that is going to be...
Or as I remember it, the one with the symbol that looks kind of like a Greek letter sigma. Yeah.
Good choice. And then you can see the power of that gold dash sort of carrying the momentum into the jump, into the wall jump, and that reduces the distance we need to swim. So we are going here to get our next brush technique over to Mika, the pyrotechnician's hut. And if we get this just right, Lego can do another fight skip by going out over the water and then tackling back into the collision. One restriction to the KT glitch is that if you are physically above water, no matter how high you are, you cannot KT, except if you are directly above the water. So you can KT along the surface of water, but not high above it, which does restrict some of our options in some cases. But this does obtain our next brush technique, Cherry Bomb. This is our explosive, it's our bombs. We can use it to blow up cracks in walls. It is also pretty good in combat, but again, not as good as our weapons and items. And then we have to KT over the same fight trigger again. Now the game is expecting us to take care of a few more things in Shinchu Field before we progress to the next hub area, Agata Forest. But we don't need to do any of that. Not now, anyway. We have more important priorities.
So here, we're actually going to see some more KATs finally. And that's because I want to get to this upper entrance to the next area we're going. And this is going to let me do a couple things. The first is it's going to let me do what's called a brush adventure, which basically when we use our brush by dragging in ways the game didn't really expect, it will let us move it away from where it should be able to go. And so here I'm going to bloom another tree, but the cutscene's not going to play for the tree because at the same time I entered the loading zone to leave the area. So by hitting the loading zone and leaving at the same time as blooming the tree, the area enters its bloom state. So we've gotten rid of all the cursed area that we never got to see. But along with that, I get to also come through this upper area, which allows me to activate this mermaid spring, which is a form of fast travel that we'll be using later. And so this just makes it way easier to activate that spring.
And then we're yet again going to be doing a bunch of skips. We are going to immediately leave Agata Forest. We'll be coming back later. There are some things that we need to get from here, but not until we have some other stuff set up later in the game. Here's an example of the kind of liquid KT I was describing earlier. If you are just above the surface, you can KT. If you try to swim through that particular river, you will get swept away immediately. So you have to KT to escape. And that brings us to yet another hub area, Taka Pass. Now, if you have played this game before, you may know that the Guardian Sapling for this area is directly above us and to the right, which means we could KT right up there. But there's one issue, and that is there's a guy named Waka, and he says no. So we have to go negotiate with Waka so that we can get his permission to bloom the Guardian Sapling and heal the curse of Taka Pass. So, Waka warning.
Yes, 3, everybody 2, say hi to Waka.
1. There he is.
Waka.
And he's gone.
Everybody say bye to Waka.
Hi, Waka.
So, with New Game Plus, just our regular fighting abilities are boosted tremendously. There is a New Game Plus only item called the String of Beads, which you get as a reward for doing like sort of 100%ing. Getting a bunch of a collectible earlier on. And so this item makes you invincible. It gives you infinite ink, and it also increases your damage tenfold. So it lets us do a lot of damage very quickly. So this category is generally, the fights are going to be a bit more of a breeze. That doesn't mean there's no strategy to them, but it means that our strategies are about how to go from faster to fastest way to kill it, and not how to just do it pretty fast. Anyway, we bloom Taka Pass. It's quite pretty. We're gonna head over to these moles over here. These moles, they're burglars. They're kind of nice burglars, but they're still burglars. So we got to beat them up to take what they stole back. In this case, they stole a golden teacup, which everyone knows is highly coveted.
The one interesting thing about this mini game, it does have a mechanic. It's not purely random. Every time the moles cross over another mole's path, they swap places. If they all come into the center, then they will wind up back where they started. So now we have the teacup in our mouth. We're going to bring this back to the tea master. The tea master is going to be very gracious for us returning his teacup, and in exchange, he's going to give us a golden mushroom. And we're going to hold on to that golden mushroom. Don't forget it. Don't forget about the golden mushroom. It's a secret item that will help us later.
I do want to note that that guy was very okay with us, just like we gave him the teacup and he's like, oh, thank you, wolf. Here's a mushroom in exchange. As if dealing with wolves that cross your path is a normal thing. But this world is not exactly known for its real life accuracy.
This is all real, real dog-human interaction that actually happened in ancient Japan. I think it's very realistic.
Very true.
Glad to know this game is a 100%
in general,
accurate historical.
Yeah, in general, I do encourage you to trade with any dogs that are offering you coin in real life, because they're immune from taxes.
So true.
Dogs don't have to pay taxes, which does make your commerce more efficient.
This is why we love creatures.
Anyway, we are now invading the bathhouse of the Sparrow Mafia. Oh, that's one way to do it. We're now underground in the bathhouse of the Sparrow Mafia.
This is not where I wanted to be.
It's a place. One nice thing about KTs is you can pretty much always recover, as long as you can do enough KTs in a chain. We are trying to get to this bird here. The one flaw of the bird mafia bathhouse is that they have no bath. So we need to go help them recover the bath from underground. Not that underground, just a different underground. So now there's this old guy. His name is Mr. Bamboo. And we are going to be escorting him probably a few hundred meters underground in order to relocate the source of the bath. And very luckily we have explosives, which if you know anything about digging, explosives are very useful for digging. You can draw a circle around Mr. Bamboo that inspires him to run faster. That's not like a brush technique, not like a brush god technique at least. It's just a fundamental technique we have at all times. In fact, you can do this outside of digging minigames, and it causes the NPC to pet Ami.
Or at least most of them. Some of them just don't do anything, and it's very rude. I don't know why they don't want to pet Ami. They just don't.
There are some NPCs who are also dogs.
That's true.
And
that's true.
they will be inspired to become dogs rather than to pet Ami for being a dog. So,
Yeah.
You can look at it either way. Anyway, that gets us our next brush technique. We have water spout now.
Anyway, it's time to leave. There is actually a dog hanging out in the back, but he's just not very important for us. Better luck next time, I guess. I don't know.
What the dog's doing,
he's-
we'll never know.
We will never know.
He's jumping. We know that for sure.
That is true. He does love to jump. So yeah, that was Sasa Sanctuary. They were very kind. We got them some water. The Bird Mafia let us go peacefully, so it's all good. And now we're skipping on ahead again. I know we've skipped on ahead like 3 times to a new hub area or something at this point, but we're going to do it again. So this is City Checkpoint, and this area is meant to be accessed after you've played about a third of the game, or not even this area, but you're never meant to get past this area until you're a decent part into the game. And there's this big bridge up there that you're meant to lower with a brush power later. But we don't want to wait. So we're just going to swim on across and jump on over to the other side.
So you can just barely make it across without drowning, as long as you mash jump, which does make you swim a little bit faster. And then there's this very slippery rock here. Lego is going to climb up it, which does get us a bit of height faster than a KT would, and it will KT the rest of the way up to the other side. And you're not really supposed to be here without lowering the bridge, but it doesn't matter.
As a quick glance, this is what it looks like. Yeah, not the greatest texture work, but you're not supposed to be there, so it's, you know, they can be forgiven.
It's like if you complained about going up to a Broadway show and then going behind the curtains and complaining that it doesn't look quite right. Anyway,
yeah, if they're out of character behind it.
So now we are officially in the second book of the 3 books that make up Okami. We are in Ryoshima Coast, and we're going to immediately do another brush adventure. This one will clip the camera underground, lets us get a better angle with which to use water spout, which skips a little mini game about moving water between different ponds. And now we also have control during this cutscene, so we can't really do anything with it, but we can bring up the map and wiggle around. And now Ryoshima Coast is clear of the evil. It is healed.
So one thing that's interesting to note about this game, it's not unique in this, but the inside of buildings are not stored inside of the building like you might think, but instead they're stored really far underground. So rather than go all the way over to a building that's on an island kind of in the middle of all that water over there, we're just going to fall down, and we're going to be able to fall all the way into this building. Hi there. And so that's quite a bit faster than making our way normally.
Yep, and that'll bring us to our first dojo technique. This is the Holy Eagle technique. This is our double jump. Now you might question, Lego, why are you getting a double jump when you have an infinite jump?
It's way, 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 way faster.
Yes.
That's basically it. Technically, you could do single jumps, but this basically halves the number of KTs we need to do, which in turn means we lose way less time using those KTs. Now, in this category, we needed to go talk to this guy anyway, but because we also needed the digging champ technique, which lets you dig really hard. I mean, look at this. I just dug. Can you believe it?
That's incredible.
I couldn't have dug through that before, but thanks to this man, he has helped guide me to the path of digging. And now I did done dig.
One of the best teachers of ancient Japan.
Classically. Anyway, we're on this island. I'm just gonna jump over back to the coast, and we're gonna make our way to the city. Now, the city is inflicted by a plague at the moment. We may or may not help them out. We'll see. We'll see.
They'll be okay.
You know, we do what we need to obtain brush powers, and whether or not that also has us help people live better, healthier lives is, you know, up to Ami. It's up to our wolf goddess here.
I think Susano can handle it.
You think Susano can handle it?
He's the legendary warrior.
That's true. That's true. He is the legendary warrior.
So yeah, you can see it's really icky in Seian City, the capital of ancient Japan, as we all know. And so we are immediately going to leave, except I misled you. We're not going to leave. We are going to escape over the gate, and that is going to be one of the few holes in the massive vertical invisible walls around the city, and we're going to get out of bounds. And once again, we're going to fall about a kilometer. So Ami is falling. We're reaching terminal velocity, which for Ami is about the diving speed of a peregrine falcon, if you trust the in-game units. And we're going to fall into this restaurant here. So there's this guy. He's an incredible chef. You can see his incredible chef techniques. He's barefoot in the kitchen, which is, you know,
definitely
fine.
Up to code.
Don't worry. And so his incredible cooking combined with the golden mushroom we got from the Team Master, combined with Ami's incredible divine powers, inspired the brush god, who we never rescued, of fire to give us an upgraded fire ability, even though we don't have the base fire ability, called Fire Burst, and that's actually kind of handy. We're going to use this a few times. One of the few optional brush techniques that's actually pretty good.
Sorry about that.
One thing you might have noticed is as soon as we exited the restaurant, we ended up in a cursed zone, and that's because the restaurant doesn't actually exist. It has been swallowed up by the curse, and we would normally need to dispel the curse before we could even consider entering that restaurant, but it does exist underground, which means it is a-okay for us to enter through the top, back, side entrance, whatever you want to call it. Oh, and here's Waka again. I forgot to give a Waka warning. Tried to give one for next time. So now we are in the aristocratic quarter of Seon. We have a few objectives here. You might notice that we are in the back of Seon, even though we never raised the water, which means that these canals are empty and they behave kind of buggy, which will come in handy a little later. We're immediately going to go into the Imperial Palace. Now, there are actually two palaces in Seon. This is the lower of the two, but we do need a few things here. For one, you'll notice that there's a big tornado in the background. That tornado is actually the source of the plague, and all the people of Seon think, what they've been told to believe is that that is actually all coming from the Emperor. But you can see right now, the Emperor's fine, and he's going to do a little bribery to keep our silence.
So right here we obtain what is actually one of the most important abilities in this entire run, and that is a secondary form of fast travel. Now, we haven't used any fast travel yet, and this secondary form of fast travel will be basically the only one we use other than one time. And that's just because it is very convenient.
Yeah, there's a few things Mistwarp lets us do, and it's very nice to get it now because we need to be here anyway. So we're going to grab some prayer slips. That's what the thing in Ami's mouth is. And we're immediately going to return these to the owner, who we never talked to yet, the Priestess Rao.
We skipped going into her house before because it is slow and she wants to talk to us, and I don't really want to talk to her.
She wants to talk to us so many times.
Yeah, but here, just going to have to live with it. Not really any choice.
Yeah, her music has an incredible sound effect at the start of it, which we hear like 5 times.
That's incredible. That's how I always describe it. So yeah, she says she'll help us out with something or other, and we will have her assistance in like a while. So yeah, we'll get there when we get there.
I'm sure she will be a long-term friend and ally in our fight against evil.
Yeah, I feel like you're trying to imply something here, right?
I mean,
would you doubt Priestess? Would you doubt her?
We gave her prayer slips. I don't see.
We didn't.
I feel like she's kind of indebted to us at this point. Anyway,
we're getting out of the city.
We're immediately going to
doing another big skip.
We're abandoning the people of Seon. We'll get back to them a little later. They'll be okay. And we're immediately going to illegally cross the border into North Ryoshima coast. But do not fret, dogs are immune from criminal prosecution, so it is not a problem. And that brings us into North Ryoshima, and I do have to give another Waka warning. He'll be showing up in a few seconds. There he is.
It is Waka.
Gone.
So yeah, this area, you might notice there is no curse, and that's because Waka actually did it for us already. So he did it basically just to show us up, actually. But we can interpret it as him being nice if we want to. But yeah. And so here is also where we're going to get to use that fancy new fast travel power to immediately get out of here. We basically came here just so that this fast travel spot would be open now. And so we're gone.
Yes,
And now way back, or I'd mentioned that there were like 2 brush powers that we could go get. One of them was Cherry Bomb, and the other is Lily Pad. And we're finally gonna go get Lily Pad.
Yep, so you can see back in Kamiki Village, everyone's mostly doing okay. There's a few people that are still feeling a little sore from being swallowed up by Orochi's curse. And that's going to be, nice. We're just going to talk to them, have a little chat about the weather. And we are going to bloom all of these cherry blossoms. And that is going to help us inspire the brush gods yet again. And I'm going to do a little trick here. This is called Uppy Thingy. I just wanted to say the name of that trick. So there's not much else to say.
Oh, that worked.
Yep.
So when I said we're getting Lily Pad, I actually meant we're getting Sunrise. And that's because getting them at the same time is actually very useful. One thing that's weird about Sunrise is we've actually sort of already used it in some areas. So the game sort of lets you use it, but only in like story sequences. If you ever want to use the power to just like turn it to daytime, you need the real deal. So now we can actually make it daytime if we wanted to.
This is Mr. Orange.
He has an orange on his head.
Is that true?
I think that's why they call him that. Yeah. But he knows how to dance, and so we're gonna let him go off for like a full minute here.
While we let him go off, was this good time to tell the audience some stuff about SGDQ?
This is a great time.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so Okami is going to be... Oh, do you want to go?
Oh, sorry. No, you
Please
go
do,
ahead.
Please do.
You tell the audience about SGDQ. You're going to
So
be there.
Okami is going to be the second run at SGDQ 2025, coming right after the first run, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which is another wonderful run. We're going to be up on at 1:03 Central Daytime. And it's going to be New Game plus any %, which is a shorter category than this one, but it does have its own unique stuff to it. You're going to see some crazy early game sequence breaks that you don't quite see in this category. And I am going to be co-commentating that run, and the main runner will be Saunders Tech.
That is
So
very
I'm
exciting.
really excited to help present that run to you all at the big marathon, raising money for Médecins Sans Frontières, Doctors Without Borders.
Well done. Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. I cannot wait for SGDQ, and I'm sure y'all cannot either. It's coming up really, really soon, but we also have another event coming up after that. It's Frame Fatales. GDQ's all-women and femme speedrunning community is gearing up for their next event, Lane Fatales, happening September 7th through 14th. Stay tuned for the scheduled release in early July. And speaking of July, if you're heading to SGDQ, be sure to visit the Frame Fatales table. They'll be hosting a frame changer panel and organizing 2 community meetups. Type !FF in chat to join the Discord and stay up to date with all things Frame Fatales. So it's not only SGDQ that we do, and it's not only Hotfix. We also have our annual Fatales events and other events happening all year round. That schedule release is coming up really, really soon. So keep your eyes and ears peeled for that, as well as the awesome SGDQ stuff.
Alright, so back in the game, you might have noticed when I warped here, there wasn't like an actual symbol on the map for warping here. That's because I haven't been here before, and you're only supposed to be able to go places you've been. But the power for warping kind of assumes you've visited all the places you were supposed to go in the early game. So even though we haven't actually been here before, it lets us fast travel here anyway, which is much faster than actually going here because it's at the top of a pretty big hill.
This is Seihime. She is the Shrine Maiden for Kusa Village. Kusa Village was afflicted by a pretty bizarre curse, but we rescued it from it by exorcising a demon from Tse.
So she tells us that, by the way, I've also got all these dogs, and they've all left me, and she wants her dogs back. So we're going around to get some of her dogs back. These ones all want food. They're very hungry. Yeah. They're not actually very different from regular dogs, even though they can like talk and fight you. But they mostly just want food.
Real dogs.
And to be fair, not very different from people either, just regular people. So, you know. I'm going to be doing another little brush adventure right here, just to get to the next dog slightly faster. Where I go into outer cam, and then by just dragging up and rotating the camera at the same time, it lets me just glide the camera up, when normally if you try to move the camera, there are limits to how far it'll let you move it. But there are just certain cases where they just were not aware of what you could do.
Yeah, so if you've ever seen a new game run of this game, there are a lot more brush adventures because the brush can go anywhere and it's not affected by gravity, whereas Ami is. And even in New Game Plus, it still comes in handy in a few locations. So there's one more dog to feed in Kusa Village. Up in this cave here.
One interesting thing here is all these dogs are meant to be gotten through one brush power or another. And this one, you're meant to have the vine brush power, which is sort of like a hook shot. And it would actually be faster if I had gotten that power like a really long time ago. But it's only faster by a few seconds, and it's hard. So I'm not doing it. Well, that's a little bit of a simplification, but maybe I'll do it eventually. But for now, I went with what was much safer and what I'm more comfortable with. Anyway, here's Tay. I don't actually remember why he's mad at us.
He wants a different kind of food. He wants a knuckle sandwich.
That is true. Will he be nice? He will be nice. Sometimes he will use an invincible charging attack, like right as the fight starts, and you have to wait for that to happen and lose like 1 second. So we had a nice Tay today. Everyone say thank you, Tay.
Thank you, Tay.
And now we're gonna go to a place we're not supposed to go to again, or at least quite yet.
So
after doing that, Fusei told us, "Hey, there's like 3 more dogs, and I need to like have them back. They're important in order to get into this place." And sadly, I don't really want to do that. So we're going to get in a much faster way and a much sillier way.
Yes, so immediately you notice we just entered the entrance area of the dungeon Gale Shrine, and then we immediately left, and we're going to enter again, and we might have to redo this cycle a couple times. The idea is Lego wants to jump on the first possible frame after entering the Gale Shrine area. That is going to preserve our default respawn coordinates of 0, 0, 0, which we call the origin. And then if we void out, we can respawn at those coordinates. And in this particular dungeon, 0, 0, 0 happens to be about halfway through. And it's going to skip all of the first half of the dungeon, not only that, but also, more importantly, a huge side quest that's involved in breaking that barrier to enter the main area of the dungeon. One thing you noticed is that we were actually running along the ground there, which normally would cause the game to set your respawn coordinates as long as you're touching solid ground. But we did a glitch called a sleepwalk, where if you change KTs right as you're landing on the ground, the game actually skips Ami's landing animation, which skips setting some flags, so the game thinks you're still sort of airborne, and it never sets your respawn coordinates, which lets us preserve the origin warp state until we can actually get to the point where we can void out. Then we rode the elevator a little bit halfway up, and then we're going to KT up the rest of the way so that we don't need to get the key that would normally let us get up the rest. So this dungeon, it takes place at the very top of this hill, which is where Kusa Village is located, and it's actually a huge windmill. And one of the reasons why Kusa Village was so sad looking is that their air was cursed. There's an evil demon living here called Crimson Helm. And he is trapping all the wind in these like black anti-swirls. It's like the wind is curling in on itself. It's not going anywhere. It's gotten all smelly. And now we have counteracted the evil winds, and we have inspired yet another brush god to offer us their power. This one's a horse. Unfortunately, we skip all of the cutscenes for these, but they all look wacky and wild. They're all styled after the different animals of the zodiac, including Ami.
This game is so creature. It's great. I love its style. I love the story that it chooses to tell. It's beautiful. I'm glad that you both are here to showcase it.
This is one of the most creature games of all time, if I had
It
to.
really is.
I had to say
It's up
so.
there. When I planned this show, this was one of the absolute first games that came to mind. So I'm really happy to have, that experience actually realized in real life. It's incredible.
Yeah, and Lego is
Awesome.
an excellent runner to showcase it.
Absolutely.
Don Quixote time. Unfortunately, we do not get to attack the windmill. We do bomb the elevator inside the windmill, but that's apparently just the way the elevator is supposed to work. I don't know how the villagers are accessing it, but works fine for us. Does this work, actually?
It does if there's no footsteps, and I did not hear footsteps, so I'm really hoping it works.
Okay, so Lego is doing another origin warp, purely for the sake of saving a few seconds this time.
Let's hope it works. Otherwise, I'll look a little bit stupid. And I do look a little bit stupid. All right,
okay.
well, if I had done it on the first frame, if I had been really good at jumping, and by really good, I mean luckier, then I would have just respawned right at the front of Kusa Village. And instead, that did not happen, and we'll just have to run back. So that's like a few seconds. Not too big of a deal. The way we actually can tell whether or not we've jumped on the first frame or not is by whether or not the sound of footsteps plays while we're trying to jump immediately. So if you hear footsteps, that's how we know. But I'm not used to doing this one. This one I haven't done until recently. So sadly, didn't work this time. But that's okay.
We'll have at least one more chance to try an origin warp to save a little more time. They're pretty fun.
I could do that one. All right. I could actually do two more, and one of them being actually more consistent for weird reasons. But it's not actually very fast.
So we're going to do a shopping here just to buy a couple items that we will need to get some more brush techniques. And now we're actually back in North Dioshima Coast. So we've done some backtracking and some forward tracking. We're sort of skipping back and forth along the game's intended sequence. We just rescued an old guy from some bullies, some children. And this fish named Orca was so inspired by our act of kindness that he has offered to take us to the bottom of the ocean after we do some other tasks.
Yeah. The first thing that he's going to help us out with is this really tall tower here that we can't even see the top of because it's just so tall. And now, surely, of course, the game would only, make it look that tall, and really, it's not actually that bad to climb. I'm, of course, kidding. The game really does expect me to spend well over a minute climbing this tower by just jumping up. So that's very fun. Yeah, this is Catcall Tower. And it's really tall.
Now, there's a fairly precise fight skip right at the start here. We call this one Poltergeist Skip after the enemy that we skip. Wonderful. Seems like that worked. And that is going to bring us to the rhythmic mashing. So this whole tower is covered in this sticky white substance that lets us stick to the wall and then jump back off of it. This, in theory would be a pretty cool brush technique, except you can only use it in certain areas, and we have an infinite jump. While we're here, it's useful to use it because it's a lot faster than KTs, but in general, we don't need this brush technique. We're just getting it for the sake of satisfying the category definition. This entire tower, we're going to spend something like 1.5 to 2 minutes climbing it, and it's going to require about 200 presses of the A button. One interesting thing you'll notice LEGO is doing, which does help a lot if you've played this casually, is she is going to be double jumping, or jumping away from the tower and then double jumping back towards it. The reason being that every time you want to stick to the tower, you have to press the jump button, and then you need to press the jump button a second time to jump back off of it, which means that our double jump is half as many A presses as our single jump. So it is actually a lot faster to interleave the double jump every other jump. And we've also, of course, memorized the route. LEGO just intentionally, this is actually true, I'm not memeing here, intentionally landed on one of those cloud platforms to trigger one of Isun's dialogue. Isun is our fairy. He is a bug, and we are not going to talk about him anymore, but his dialogue there sets a flag which prevents a stray bead chest from spawning, which you'd think would be bad because stray beads are pretty neat, but the cutscene of it spawning takes like 15 seconds.
Oh, kitty. That's so cute.
It is kind of trapped here at the top of this like 1,000-foot tower, so we're gonna feed it some fish.
That mewing that we've heard this whole time was just this cat.
Oh.
It was this one cat at the top of the tower. It's a really loud cat.
That is a loud cat. It's incredible.
I don't... Yeah.
I don't think it's much louder than any other cat I've personally cared for.
Every cat.
Yeah, it can be heard like a full
voice.
Hear it from miles away.
So yeah, this is the one time we're going to use Catwalk to draw this sticky yellow substance from the statue onto the wall, and we're not going to use it. So then we just leave. It is actually a little faster to jump off of the staircase there than it is to use it normally.
Yeah, and on the way up I also just jumped around the staircase rather than climbing it up most of it. And now here you can see there was kind of nothing on the screen to indicate where I was teleporting from or to. And that's just because I skipped the part of the game where it was supposed to tell me, hey, you can fast travel, by the way. But it doesn't mean I can't fast travel, it just didn't tell me about it. And for some reason, that also means it doesn't show little icons on that screen, which is very silly.
So here's Susano again, and there's Kushi, who we never met. We're just doing a little QTE. This QTE is required. There's not really a logical reason why this is the case, but we need to do a fishing minigame, and the fishing minigame can't start until we do this stuff with Susano.
So now that quest earlier with those dogs, this guy right in front of me, the canine tracker, told us where all the dogs were. And after that, helping out Kushi there and defeating the enemies with Susano, it's like, oh, by the way, there's a dog. But it only tells you after you do that. The dog wasn't here before, apparently.
There's also this kid here. His name is Kokari, and he wants us to help him fish. There's going to be a weird thing that happens here where we're going to get the wrong fishing minigame. Anyway, I'm going to let Kokari speak for himself.
So what Orion means by the wrong fishing minigame here is there's a fishing minigame I was supposed to do way earlier in order to get into a dungeon with Kokari as well, right in this very same spot. And so because I didn't do that minigame earlier, it puts me in the minigame to get into the dungeon. But when I exit this minigame, I'll actually have the rewards for both the first and the second fishing minigame. So, rather convenient.
It also does technically make this a little bit easier, because this last fish only requires 1 slash instead of 2. And Kokari just makes all of the fishing minigames. We're going to do one more. All the fishing minigames just have some incredible voice work.
And they really do. They really do. They were, the voice acting booth, they were going quite hard for fun. in profit. Anyway, here's another brush power. This one is Crescent. It lets me draw the moon. So I'm the sun goddess. Now I can also draw the moon. I can turn it to night. I'm gonna right here. Ume was stuck in the fish or something. He wanted to fight me. I don't have a reason to because we already got the power of Galestorm. So I'm just gonna like not fight him. He's just gonna be really mad at me and want to fight me.
See, we can be non-violent as long as it's faster.
Anyway, this is that dungeon I was supposed to do way earlier. Pseudo Ruins.
And we're immediately going to break Pseudo Ruins by going out of bounds and skipping to the mid-boss. We did not catch the Whopper, but we did catch a Whopper of a salmon.
That is true. And so in this room, there are 3 devil gates to defeat. And now this might surprise you. I'm probably going to use these action slips to beat them. I know, huge surprise. I've been really varied. But it seems the action slips are just really, really powerful.
Now, there's going to
be... It is a cool trick I get to do here, though.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do another brush adventure. And this brush adventure, I'm going to get to use the fire burst power we got earlier, the fire secondary technique. And we're just going to draw it right there, just for fun. No reason. And then I'm actually going to use it again. I lied, everybody. I actually was using a different strategy for this fight. And so, using fire burst here opens up the Butt Ogre immediately. Where if I attack it, I then also have to bloom it to open it up. So it saves a little bit of time. And also doing that fire burst earlier actually did do something where now I have walking while talking, which is actually bad, but that's okay. It's still fast. So here I actually have to clear it because there's no loading zone here. And it only appears after I get rid of the walking while talking, which is quite silly.
So we're going to do some incredible landscaping, which actually took place in ancient Japan.
True.
One of the secondary abilities that having bloom gave us is that we can draw on these like purple bits of grass, and it turns them green again. And the brush gods are so inspired by our awesome landscaping that this monkey is going to come out and he's going to give us the hook shot. And this has to be one of the best hook shots ever created, because I'll let Lego demonstrate.
Whee! Just fly.
It lets us move at incredible high speeds.
So the vine power can be canceled by using a KT. And then specifically, if I just use a normal KT, it will actually put me back at normal speed. But if I immediately cancel the tackle with the jump rather than wait for the tackle to finish, I will get to keep my incredibly high speed. So, yeah, just get to fly.
We're immediately going to fast travel. Yet again.
Just maybe? Okay, there we go.
One of the more finicky brush techniques.
So we just finished backtracking, so how about we forward track again? It's always fun to mix and match our forward tracking and our backtracking. Going back and forth does serve a purpose. We go in the specific order we do, just because certain events maybe get rid of other things, so we have to do them in certain orders, things like that. Or we want to use like the other warp, for example. So even though it looks like we're just kind of hopping around everywhere, just doing random things in random orders, this is the fastest order to do all of this stuff.
Now, those with a sharp eye may notice that there is a dragon in the sea. That is the water dragon, and very fortunately our fish friend here is completely immune to the water dragon. There's also a volcano in the background there. It's a very pretty looking volcano, very happy place. Lego just used the Fireburst ability to detonate a cherry bomb early, which saves us a little bit of time. Here is a fountain where we're going to offer a bunch of money. We have infinite money pretty much from New Game Plus, so it doesn't really matter. That said, if we weren't in New Game Plus, I have a little tip for y'all at home. If you donate the largest amount 3 times, that is guaranteed to be the minimum amount you need for every fountain to get the brush technique. But there's a trick where if you donate the smallest amount first and then donate the biggest amount 3 times, the game will try to refund you the extra amount you gave, but it's programmed incorrectly. Instead of giving you the amount you gave extra, just as a raw refund, it gives you 65,000 yen minus the extra you gave. Which means if you give a very tiny amount extra, it'll actually give you more than you initially put forward, which can save you quite a lot of yen. And we call that trick the Merry Christmas glitch. Satan, do you want to guess why?
I mean, the game's given you a gift for Christmas?
That's a good one. I agree. I think that's the reason why it was named that.
What's the real reason? I want to know now. Very curious.
It's because I found it on Christmas in 2019.
Nice.
But it also works out because it's a charity glitch.
Exactly. It's the game giving you a gift. Gave it to you on Christmas.
So we just got 2 upgrade techniques. These, they often ask if Cherry Bomb is so good, why didn't they make Cherry Bomb 2? And it turns out they did. Same with Power Slash. So now we have CB2 and PS2. These are not going to be very useful for us, but I guess it's at least nice that they exist, and they are required. Interestingly, Lego, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Interestingly, Power Slash 2 is actually quite useful in the new game version of this run because it is twice as powerful as regular Power Slash, which is quite useful in certain fights. But obviously we have no trouble with fights in this category.
I was going to mention in general as well, just in your own casual playthrough, Power Slash 2 will find use. However, Cherry Bomb 2 will not, most likely. And the example that I believe Oride came up with at some point is Power Slash 2 is like if you had a PlayStation 1 and you upgraded to a PlayStation 2. Nice upgrade, get some cool stuff. Cherry Bomb 2 is like if you had a PlayStation 1 and then you got a second PlayStation 1. And you wonder, what's the point of that? And the answer is there really isn't one.
That's a great analogy.
So we got another fishing minigame here. This guy also has some pretty good sounds. This is the one fishing minigame where it's actually kind of realistic during the 3 rounds that we have to do to run out of stamina, mainly because of this very last round here. This is the sturgeon.
The marlin.
Oh. I'm good at fish names. I have played this game a lot. So the marlin is incredibly powerful, and we have to slash it like 2 or 3 times. And you can see how fast it turns. Every time it turns, you need to make sure you're turning your analog stick, which is actual fishing. That's how it really works.
I'll bring my game controller out for the dock next time.
You can actually do that. They did make a Game Boy game, which is actually a fishing radar, if I remember correctly.
Whoa, that's really cool.
Anyway, so we gave that guy the fish. He stole the fish.
He also stole our fishing rod. That's worth mentioning too. He just kind of stole everything from us.
Oh no.
But it's okay. It's all for a good cause.
It's all part of Ami's plan. Yeah. Anyway, one thing I also did in that minigame is at some point I just turned it to nighttime. I did that because I want it to be nighttime now, and it's slightly faster to do it then because it doesn't actually play the cutscene of the world turning to nighttime. So, very minor time save. but up here is the Watcher. He watches a lot, specifically the stars. And by drawing a star in the sky for him, he gets to make a wish. And what does he wish for? But to be able to see the Whirlpool Galaxy up in the sky, which is very convenient for us because that's where we need to go soon. However, we can't go to a galaxy. That'd be ridiculous. However, by spinning the wind here on Earth, we are able to spin the galaxy up in the sky. So, pretty cool. Neat trick. If you have a fan at home, you can spin galaxies.
This is some actual astronomy that actually took place in ancient Japan.
Yeah. And interestingly, by spinning the galaxy in the sky, it actually opens up a whirlpool back on Earth. So, really incredible stuff. Something I think modern scientists should definitely take note of. But here, I'm just going to enter the whirlpool. And this will take us to the Dragon Palace.
So we're at the bottom of the ocean now. Which is a great place.
I mean, it looks pretty.
For dogs.
It's great. Yeah.
For dogs, yeah.
If you're wondering how Ami's breathing, me too. Anyway, so I'm just going to do some more KTs here. It's slightly faster than going inside and talking to people. Social distancing and all that. I'd like to also do my infinite jump. So here we can finally see the reason why I got that digging power earlier is just so I could dig at this spot right in this very moment. And so here, this person also wants a hot spring. That's right, we're digging up a second hot spring. I'm also immediately going to do a trick here that saves a bunch of time, which is you can just jump and get over here, which skips having to fall all the way to the bottom and then climb all the way back up. So it saves like multiple minutes.
If you have ever done
very
this
convenient
casually,
little trick.
you are fuming right now with how easy that looked. So, in addition to the techniques we had the last time we did a digging game, we also have Gale Storm now, which lets us blow around our escortee, which just makes this just a brush technique spam fest to get down to the bottom as fast as possible. It's pretty fun. And so this game does run on SpongeBob logic. So we're gonna have, we're already at the bottom of the ocean. We have restored a hot spring, so now there's water underwater. Everyone's thrilled about this physical miracle. And then we have to talk to them one more time so that they can inspire the water to swirl. And then that inspires the brush gods.
Mm-hmm. And this gives us the power to fast travel, which we will not be using. And now is also a great time to take that 5-minute break.
Fantastic. And while we gear up for that break, I want to thank everyone supporting GDQ Hotfix with their subs, Prime Gaming subs, gift subs, and bits. Your contributions help keep our shows running. If you're enjoying the stream, welcome back everybody to this wonderful run of Okami HD. And if you're enjoying this run and want to see what's coming up later on Hotfix, you can check out this week's schedule and explore our full season lineup at gdq.gd/hotfix. All right, time to get back into it.
All right, so let's start the timer going again in 3, 2, 1, go. So immediately we'll just be doing some more KTs because that has been the theme of this run. In this case, I'm going to be getting out of bounds into this weird interior part, and then jump all the way down here to this dragon thing mouth, and I'm gonna head inside. Classic place to head to.
So, just to catch us up, before the break, we just obtained the fountain brush technique. This lets us use one of the fast travel systems without its corresponding currency. Not terribly useful for us, but now we are inside the water dragon that we met briefly earlier. LEGO has, if if you didn't see it, very subtly set up another sleepwalk, which once again is a glitch that lets us bypass the game from setting our respawn coordinates. We did not perform an origin warp setup though. The objective instead is just to preserve our respawn right at the entrance of the dungeon.
Another trick we're going to be doing right here is that we're meant to use some acid that falls from the ceiling to free this orb from its confines. You can't see the orb. It's behind this other monster-looking thing, but I promise it's there. Anyway, so in order to do that, we can actually just use regular water. They didn't, like, think of that. Uh-oh. Okay, we're good.
A little too eager on the jump there.
A little too eager. Okay, there we go. Now we're good. Well, if I had messed up there, then I would have, instead of my goal of hopefully later respawning all the way back to the beginning of the dungeon, I would have just respawned right outside. Would have been less exciting.
Oh no, someone said the cursed word. Yeah, so much like Jabu Jabu, the water dragon ate a cursed demon, and in fact, the artifact containing a cursed demon, and that's why it was so angry. And now we have, we've treated the illness. The water dragon is going to be okay. We've removed the cause of its ire, and now we're just going to drown. So this is another way of triggering a respawn. Instead of voiding out, we can just drown. And that should, if everything was set up properly, put us back at the entrance to the dungeon and skip the entire escape sequence.
It's actually slightly faster here. Instead of KTing outside and drowning in this water, it's actually slightly faster to just die to the falling acid. However, that requires having set up your save file in a particular way where you never upgraded your health, and this file sadly has upgraded its health, so it's not faster here.
Shout out to the King's Pride in chat. Thank you for your light getting delayed so you could watch.
Sometimes they, do a solid.
Yeah, sometimes the weather works in mysterious ways.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't do such a thing.
Yeah, not at all.
Nor would Ami.
She does have control of the weather, but she would never use that power to delay flights. Anyway,
so if you listen to music, you might notice it sounds like something big is happening, and that's because something big is happening. It turns out the queen is in danger, which this other queen just told us about, the queen of the Dragonians. So we need to go check that out and see how she's doing. Make sure she's actually okay. It's very important that we go help her out. The run is a little long. We gotta head all the way to the back of Seon City here. So, a little bit.
The reason why the Queen Himiko is in danger, by the way, is because she is in danger of falling asleep because she stayed up too late watching twitch.tv/gamesdonequick on her magical orb. I see.
It happens to the best of us, really.
Yeah, her crystal ball. So that's what we're trying to rescue her from. So hopefully we can get there before she falls asleep. I'll help keep her awake for the rest of the stream.
Yep.
Anyway.
Now you might notice I'm not heading there. The actual way to get in to Seon City, in this case, is a weird way. The guards won't let me in. So it's a different way in.
Yeah, so there's this ship here. This is an incredibly important ship because it was sunk by the water dragon. And it also has some magic artifacts in it. In fact, the artifact that the water dragon ate was actually inside this ship. But there's some other artifacts left in here, and we're going to go retrieve them. We're going to immediately...
Himiko's fine. Yeah. Himiko's fine.
We're going to immediately be joined by our priestess friend Rao, who we met earlier. So she's back again to help us out. She can dispel a little bit of the curse in this ship. And we're immediately going to clip our camera out of bounds. The way this ship is supposed to work is you're supposed to raise and lower the water level, but only from a specific room by having your camera pointed out into like a hole in the ceiling and then drawing the sun or the moon. But if we just get our camera out of bounds and point our camera in the same direction, it also works. So now we are nowhere close to where we should be, but we can still raise the water. We have positioned Ami in a specific location so that the water raises her out of bounds. It forces her through the ceiling. And now we're out of bounds. We can just skip to the end. You have to be a little bit careful with this out of bounds water. Some of it is not solid. Also, jump scare warning. That's one of our friends, the Spider Queen. We ignored her earlier, so she's feeling a little neglected. One other thing, I could mention this at any time, but one thing we can mention now that we have some time is that we are playing the PS3 version, and that version is actually, oh my god, the Skull Torch ate the prayer slip. Anyway,
oh my god,
we're playing on the PS3 version, which is kind of special. This is the first HD version, which means that it has some of the advantages of the later versions, but it also has some unpatched glitches, including the KT glitch. If you own any of the later versions, such as the PS4 or Switch or PC version, you cannot do the KT glitch the same way we do it in this run, because they patched out the ability to ground tackle the frame after you close the pause menu. But there is a trick, there's a bypass to that. Instead, you can't ground tackle, right? But you can bark. You can bark in midair, and you actually get a ground bark, and that ground bark can be canceled into a ground tackle. So we call those BKTs for Bork KTs.
I like just saying, you thought you patched it out? Well, you didn't really do that.
Rather than a frame perfect trick that lets you gain infinite height, it's a double frame perfect trick that lets you gain height a lot slower. Because every time you bark, you also fall down before you can tackle to cancel it out. It's very silly. Anyway, there was a dragon there. I know we already killed him by taking the orb out, but maybe he's okay. I don't know.
He's fine. We treated the illness, remember?
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, here's Rao. She's looking kind of pale, and
a little ghostly,
a little incorporeal, which is not, it's a common comorbidity of several illnesses.
Exactly. So this is her secret tunnel. She has a secret tunnel, by the way. I don't know if there's ever an explanation for why she has a secret tunnel, other than she just does, as priestess, have a secret tunnel.
I was going to say to make an after reference,
but this lets us
came out after.
But this does let us get into the palace very nicely. All the way at the back of Seon City. I actually could have entered from the front too. But if you do that, the game will eventually stop lock if you do things in the wrong way. So it's better just to go with what they want you to do.
So yeah, Himiko has, as all Japanese monarchs do, filled the top floor of her palace with lava as a security measure. And unfortunately, we were a little too late. She's already taken her nap. So you can see her next to her Twitch.tv orb. Also, here's Evil Rao. Not the same as regular Rao. An imposter.
Very different.
And there she goes. She's gone. The orb is also gone. Anyway, the orb told us that Evil Rao's secret base is going to disappear before nightfall. So we have to get there in time. We're in a rush to get to Oni Island.
Yeah, we are. You're right. And so, as part of that rush, I will be going to Oni Island as fast as possible. So I think what Oride is forgetting is that I am not going to be making a detour. As much fun as it would be, it is slightly faster to do it at another time. So instead, I will actually be going to Oni Island as fast as possible. That bouncing mallet that's been next to me since I left the sunken ship really wants me to go to this other place too, and I'm just not feeling it. So we're just gonna head this way instead.
It's Waka. Forgot to give another
Waka.
Waka warning, sorry. He'll be back, don't worry.
Will he?
If you don't immediately skip certain cutscenes later, you might see him for a couple frames.
I'm afraid I'm doing a speed run, so I may be skipping some cutscenes. In any case, we are in fact just running out. It's mostly just a lot of running.
Lego, pick a color.
I'm gonna go with green.
I usually pick green.
Okay, I'll go cyan.
No, you don't have to change your choice for me.
No, it's okay, alright. It's okay.
Anyway, we are now approaching Watcher's Cape again. We can get there with another set of KTs. We do have to be careful that we do not KT directly over the water, because like I said, that will cause the KT to fail. But Lego's an expert. We're also going to skip a fight trigger. There is a fight here with an enemy called a blue Cyclops, which has one of the best sprites for their health bar.
I was dark blue.
Darn, we both lost.
My wife always guesses dark blue, so I suppose she's a real winner here. Shoutouts to Krina.
Anyway, the Queen of the Dragonians graciously used the power of the water orb to become a bridge. A true ally. Literally supporting us in our journey to fight evil. So this brings us to Oni Island. It's a big volcano. And we are immediately going to deeply break this dungeon. So we're already out of bounds. This dungeon is made up of about 4 different maps, and very conveniently, one of the most important places in this dungeon is the place where we get the brush technique about halfway through, or maybe closer to a third of the way through. And it turns out it's just on the backside of the same exterior area that we spawn in on. So we just have to get out of bounds. Also conveniently, this entire out of bounds geometry for the mountain is completely solid, so we can just run all the way around. We do have to keep jumping so we don't slip down the side into the water. But as we turn the corner here, you're going to start to see the statue of Gekigami. Just got to use a little bit of rejuvenation, and that is going to inspire yet another brush god to give us another brush technique. So there's been a lot of elemental themed brush techniques already, and this one is for electricity. And this is going to be very critical for defeating a couple bosses, but not much else. So we did skip to get to this point, but we are going to backtrack to what would be the previous room in the dungeon. Because we can get out of bounds in this specific room and just skip directly to the loading zone at the end of this map. So now we're already on the 3rd map of the 4 or 5 that make up this dungeon. And this is our side-scroller section. So unfortunately we can't easily clip out of bounds here, but we can do a little trick here. We call that slope storage, although it didn't quite work, so we can just bypass that with a KT. And this is going to look like the most smooth, clean side-scroller of all time. As long as we break those bars in order. Sometimes if you are very unlucky with the angle of your power slash, you will get just one of the bars. And that was very good execution. Save or kill the Toby. Will we save the Toby or will we kill the Toby?
Whichever one's faster, obviously.
Okay, I guess no one else gets to donate for an incentive here.
Right here, my movement wasn't actually quite optimal, but I have to wait here on the cycle. We call these the cheese wheels due to their shape. And if you do it just right, you can jump through all of them immediately after the cycle lines up for you to actually go through.
So
we are immediately going to grab this key, which lets us stand on these platforms, which is slightly faster than just doing a bunch of infinite jumps. And then I'm gonna do another little brush adventure.
So Lego is going to abuse the power of this vine flower, the hookshot, to clip out of bounds, common phenomenon with hookshots. Clip through the ceiling here, and then immediately use the hookshot to clip back inbounds on the other side of this locked door. And that puts us right on the final bridge of the dungeon. So we're suddenly in the boss arena. So it was very good
So we
execution
did,
by
in
Lego.
fact, save Toby.
Yes, so there is a character.
Now, of course.
There's a sort of antagonist of Oni Island, the prayer slip Toby, the sentient prayer slip. And he's supposed to race us a bunch, and then at the end, you know, he's honorably defeated, so he erases his essence from the prayer slip and he disappears into money. But we avoid meeting him, which avoids his cursed fate. Anyway, here's the boss. We're gonna shoot Ninetales in the face. That's gonna make Ninetales angry, so he roars at us. And then we just electrocute him, and that causes him to split into a bunch of spirits, just like Jalhala from the Wind Waker. And then, fortunately, these spirits are also quite vulnerable to the exorcism slips. And then we just need to do one more round of that. Each round has 4 spirits. So 4 out of 9 spirits, 1 for each tail. It's going to leave us with just 1. And that is going to revert back to Ninetales' one-tailed form. And this is our final phase. And we just need to get a little lucky with the... Yep, there you go. And that's Ninetales.
It is Ninetales.
One of the few bosses we are actually going to fight outside of the final boss rush. Oh yeah, I forgot to
You
get
missed
another
it
Waka
again.
warning. So there's Waka. I think that is the last time we'll be seeing him for real. I'm not very good at the Waka warnings this run.
No. Anyway, way earlier, remember how we were doing that fishing with the guy that stole both our rod and our fish that we fished for him? Well, this is why we did it. Because this guy in a restaurant on a beach where there's not really many other people, but you know, sorry, he really wanted this fish. He really wanted the marlin to do some beautiful wind chopping, wind cooking. Classic way to chop up a fish. And this gives us another secret brush power, whirlwind. And that will let us make a bunch of wind, and we will never use it again because it doesn't really do anything for you. But it is cool. And I would never deny that. And now that we have finally, we actually have finally finished the second arc of the game here by defeating Ninetales, and we're meant to go to the third arc. But I know people have been missing it, so don't worry, it is time for us to do some more backtracking. This time we get to go, and now we're going to go finish the first arc of the game. So all that popping between the first and second arc, back and forth, it will finally come to a close.
Now, if you have played this game casually, you might have some questions. For example, you can't ignore Crimson Helm forever, right? And you're correct. We can't ignore Crimson Helm forever, but we can ignore Crimson Helm till pretty much the last minute, just like my homework. Which means that we do not have the Serpent Crystal, which means that we do not have the key to enter the Moon Cave, Orochi's lair. So we have to find an alternative entrance into the Moon Cave. And I'll give you a few guesses as to what our alternative entrance might be. You can still make a guess.
I'm gonna,
I mean, you're going up.
I'm
Are
gonna-
you going through the top of it?
that is in fact what we're doing here.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, not if I mess up though.
I wasn't sure if I should guess that.
Just wanted to give everyone a good shot. So yeah, this is a cave, but some caves you know, are not, they don't have solid roofs, if that makes sense. You just fall right in.
And this will be a theme here. It's worth mentioning. This will not be the first time we pass through a missing ceiling.
Yep, so here is the moon cave. You can see it's got a big staircase. This is actually the same map as the map for the final boss of the dungeon. So we could go fight the boss right now if we really wanted to. But unfortunately, we're not here for bosses. We're here for brushes. So we can't do that. So this is the best Ami skin, by the way. The best Karmic Transformer.
Now this beginning area wants us to go get a mask in order to convince the imps that we are one of them. However, it may come as a surprise to you, we can skip it. So, sadly, we will just be moving on. I think it saves like a minute and a half or something. Oh, not if I can't do KT.
I think you should have just drawn on the mask.
Mm-hmm. A little late now. We do have a mask still when we enter this dungeon, but it is a mask of nothing. A bland mask and nothing mask. Does it say something about ourselves?
I think it's very avant-garde.
Yes. Anyway, we've got these vines. We're not really meant to be able to grapple them here, but they just didn't really think about you being able to. And you know what vines mean? Is going fast.
So not only is it very easy to get out of bounds in this dungeon, the vines mean we can just zoom all over the place. So this dungeon has, interestingly, 4 objectives. You are supposed to tackle these objectives in a linear order, but because of the way it's structured, we can do them in pretty much any order. All we need are 4 ingredients, because we're cooking. I hope you all love to cook. Gonna start by obtaining the black demon horn, the staple ingredient. You know, if you don't have homemade, store-bought is fine. And then here is another fight.
It's 2 wheel enemies. Wheel enemies are some of the sillier enemies, I'd say, in this game. But for defeating them, we do get another item. This time we get the Eye of Fire. Personally, I like to use this when making cakes, but you can use it however you'd like, really. It's in many recipes.
It would be a pretty spicy cake.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's not for everyone, but, you know, for those who can take a cake.
I like to add fire eyes to my guacamole.
Spicy guacamole, I see. Here we get a nice view of the dungeon. It looks like a dungeon. You might have seen it before. Yeah. We are specifically tackling these in, compared to the order you're meant to grab the ingredients, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're tackling them 4, 3, 1, or 4, 2, 1, 3. So not exactly the intended way. I forgot that I do a thing here. Oh, and now, what on earth was that camera? All right. Well, that's a real darn shame. Yes, this is another vine, which means, unsurprisingly, doing another vine KT and jumping across this entire area is the fastest mode of transportation.
First try.
Yeah, first try.
First try.
As long as first try that I remembered to actually do it at least. And since we have another Bud Ogre, I get to use Fireburst again, because it is still the fastest way to do it.
Do want to emphasize the enunciation there on the name of that enemy.
Oh, this is the ogre liver. I don't know if anyone else is a fan of ogre livers. Not personally my taste. But.
It goes great in soups and stews.
Okay. I don't tend to make many of those, so
I love to add it to mulligatawny.
As you can see, it's a bit rough when you don't know. There we go.
Get it.
Rough.
Rough.
I was thinking that earlier when y'all were explaining KTs and that you open up the pause menu. Pause.
I'm stealing that one.
Very proud to have made y'all laugh with that because I would have thought you'd heard it.
It's somehow no. Somehow I never have.
Incredible.
Yeah. Obviously, you need to get involved. We obviously haven't thought up enough puns yet.
That's
I
right.
think we should open up a channel in our speedrunning Discord for puns.
What's your best Okami puns in chat, if you've got them?
Yes, please, thank you. I'll create a wiki page for it.
Fantastic.
So this unlocks our next brush technique. One that you may have recalled from earlier. I said there was a fire technique that we got the upgrade for, but we never got the base ability. Well, we just got it. That's Inferno. And I don't know if we use Inferno a single time.
We use it exactly one more. No, two more even.
Okay.
Yeah. Can you believe it?
More useful than certain other techniques.
They did make, well, I could use Fire Burst for both of the times that I use it, but it is faster to use Inferno. Sadly, I believe we will not be seeing any more Fire Burst in this run, but you know, it had a really good run for a secondary ability. Not many abilities get to say they actually get used.
And then we've just got our final ingredient,
it gets used right there.
The Ice Lips. I'm gonna be honest, not a huge fan of the Ice Lips.
No, I've never tried them. So this guy is our cook. We were supposed to meet him right at the beginning, and he was supposed to tell us to go get all the ingredients, but we're just really good at what we do, so we already got them all. And as a reward for getting all those ingredients, we've made a soup for Orochi. I suppose all of these ingredients are good soup ingredients. And so now that we have prepared the soup, they're going to take it up to Orochi. We have to ring that bell 8 times for each of Orochi's 8 heads. And look, we're going up with the soup. Get the head on up to go say hi to Orochi.
I give some shout outs to Lego's incredible brushwork this run.
I have played this game a bit too much. You could do it too.
It would be really
we
cool
do
to
have to
see
take up
all
that
of your
elevator
brush
toy.
strokes kind of overlaid on each other at the end of the run, although I imagine the canvas would just be black.
Yeah, definitely the center would. Anyway, we're going to do a little bit more KTs right here. I'm supposed to run all the way up and around. But it's a little faster to just jump. Oh, not if you don't jump.
So if you've played the Wii version of this game, you'll know that the brush recognition can be a little janky. But fortunately, we know pretty much the ins and outs of it. And with a little bit of practice, it's actually pretty easy to get reliable outcomes from the brush system.
Yep. For example, actually, one thing you might have noticed, the brush power fire burst that I was using to do like the big ball of fire, I actually wasn't drawing it the way the game tells you to. It tells you to just draw an infinity symbol, and I was drawing an infinity symbol that looked slightly wacky. And that's because the brush recognition just does it better that way. It's more likely to actually work. So just kind of some of the things that you learn from playing this game a lot and do get it to work consistently. Another thing with Fireburst is that it actually sometimes wants to happen even when you don't want it to happen. And one of those times is actually right now. So this strategy here, I'm going to get all 3 of these heads wet at the same time. And I specifically never want that line to cross, because if it crosses itself, it's extremely likely to trigger Fireburst.
Yeah, so this is actually taking advantage of a bit of a glitch with the way the Earth head is programmed, where if it slams, the game fails to check other heads for if they're already attacking. Otherwise, the game would normally only let 1 head of Orochi attack at a time. And we're actually going to end this next phase in a bit of an unconventional way. So we're going to deploy some actual machine guns, which were actually used in ancient Japan to slay 8-headed dragons.
classically. That strat, I've heard it called the pew pew strat, is a general name for it.
It's the first time I've heard that.
Well, obviously you're just not running in the right circles. And now with the help of Susano, we are able to destroy each of these heads. And we actually skipped the cutscene. He destroys the last head, I promise. He totally does. And he does it all on his own, and he doesn't need our help, and so we don't have to watch it happen.
Also, there was a very brief cutscene there where it tries to load us into Himiko's chamber, but her model doesn't load in because she's sleeping. So that.
Well, I don't know if it's because it doesn't load in. It's just loaded in a different spot now.
Yeah. So anyway,
it's just loaded in while she's sleeping on the ground.
We are now trapped in a party that we cannot escape from, except we have secret exit. Otherwise, we would have to try to escape from this party a bunch of times before Ethan would let us leave.
Anyway, so that does complete the first arc of the game. And now you might think we're going to go straight to the second arc, but there is one little side thing we want to do first. Over here is a man named Ida. He is a mailman who likes to run, but sadly is afflicted with demons. However, we are classic demon removers by giving him a random item that happens to be useful here. He will no longer be afflicted with demons, and we can race him. So the strategy to race Ida is to go fast. As you can see here, by going fast, we're able to catch up to him and tackle him to end the race, defeat him in battle.
We're also committing some pretty grave crimes against the Celestial Order by rapidly switching between day and night, and that's purely to reset his Ida's state so that he'll race us again.
One other thing I want to mention is that we actually have ways of skipping both Orochi and Ninetales while still getting their brush powers that are in those dungeons. However, it is faster. It's not faster to beat them, but we do it because otherwise this guy won't race us. That's it. That is the only reason we bothered to fight those guys. It's because otherwise Ida is just kind of mean. Doesn't want to have fun.
He's very magnanimous. He's very concerned with the purification of demons from Japan. And
yeah, so he's very aware of that happening in the world.
Yeah, so he will not take place in such whimsical sporting activities like racing.
Exactly. He did give us an item for defeating him 3 times on the racetrack. And that item will let us to get another brush power later. For now, however, we are entering the third arc of the game. It's very snowy here.
It's just like Canada.
That is one snowy place in the world. That's true, Orad.
You found
just
one?
like Canada.
Just like.
Yeah.
Shout out to all the Canadians, such as Lego.
Heck yeah.
I am not Canadian. However, I am in Canada. This is true.
Still heck yeah.
So real quick, we're just going to go under the map. There's this big rock, and there's actually a tree inside. I'm just going to bloom it from below. Just kidding. I'm going to draw the sun like I meant to do. And then I'm going to bloom the tree. Just you wait and see. Just you wait and see. This tree is going to get bloomed so hard. Just like that. See? First try.
So the tree is so thrilled that even though it's in a rock, it is going to explode into cherry blossoms.
Obviously. Where'd the rock go? No one knows.
Yep, so welcome to Kamui, based on the real place called Ainu Moshir, also known as Hokkaido. And well, okay, it's not terrible. This could be really bad if we were not playing this specific category. So this is the igloo turtle. The igloo turtle is, interestingly, an enemy that cannot be defeated without the use of one of the 2 fire abilities. And we actually skip both of those fire abilities in the New Game Plus any % category, which would make that fight a soft lock. Anyway, so we already kind of trashed on Cherry Bomb 2. But I'm ready to I'm ready to give Cherry Bomb another chance to prove its worth. So, you know, like they always say, 3rd time's the charm. What could be scarier than 2 Cherry Bombs?
What about a 3rd one? If 2 Cherry Bombs is so good, why isn't there a 3rd one? Now there is. I mean, there you go. It's just that easy. Once again, even more useless than Cherry Bomb 2. There's not a lot of times when you would ever want to draw 2 Cherry Bombs, even if you would want to draw 3. On the bright side, there's a vine right here, so we get to go fast. Let's rejoice in that. Look at this. I'm gonna go meow. Now I'm going really fast.
You do have to make that sound effect every time, by the way. It's a requirement.
I don't. You're not the boss to me.
I'm not giving you an order. I'm just telling the truth about how the glitch works.
You may have a point. Sadly, I believe that is our last Vine KT of the run, so I hope you guys enjoyed when we went Zoom, but sadly there is no more Zoom. We will just have to go at pretty fast speeds instead.
Aw, we'll just have to go pretty fast.
Yep. Just pretty fast. Anyway, who wanted to do more backtracking? Because I would love to do more backtracking personally. So now that we went into the 3rd arc of the game, it's time for us to visit Seon City again. Now, despite us getting rid of Ninetales, the sickness that had taken over the city is still prevalent. The people are dying. It's rough out there for them. So what if we went into the dungeon where we can go free them? Also, flashing warning, just for the next couple seconds. I'll say when it's over. And flashing over.
So finally, we are obeying the wishes of this bouncy little mallet.
As you do.
As you do. The mallet wishes for us to head over here. And what does this mallet do exactly? This lucky mallet, as it is called? Well, it makes you very small.
It gets you hammered.
Yeah. That's true. It does do that.
So Ami, now having been hammered, has gotten really tiny, which means Isun, our fairy, is now Ami-sized by transitive property. And we're going to specially angle our camera and then draw a line. There is a flask in this dungeon, which is hanging from a rope. And because rope physics are complicated, the developers just decided that the rope should be loaded in all the time, which means that as long as we can power slash it, we can power slash it from any distance, including from about like 2 kilometers away. And that warps us into this room about halfway through the dungeon. Common theme in this category. And this will unlock our next brush technique.
So this time we have the sheep here. The sheep grants us the power to slow down time, which is actually a very nice power casually for fights to defeat enemies where they are moving in slow motion. For us, I believe I'll use it like 1 more time.
You got a sheep that lets you slow down time and you're using it like twice?
Well, it's not exactly hard to beat up, guys.
That's fair.
I'm not exactly stressed about it.
Consider that we are trying to go fast rather than make other things go slow.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
kind of true. That's kind of true.
Now, you may be thinking, we can finally go help out all those people by defeating the boss of this dungeon. And sadly, that does absolutely nothing for me personally. There's no more powers to be granted, nothing. So I'm just gonna leave. Yeah. Sorry to all the people dying of sickness out there. Just, maybe later.
I'm sure the real Rao will be able to cure everyone.
Yeah,
once she returns.
Yeah, exactly, the real dead one. Anyway, we do have the power to slow down time now, and we also have the power to jump into canals that are broken because the game never expects you to get back here without filling in the water. So there's just no water, and you can just fall down forever.
Oh.
And we're just gonna fall really, really, really far down. All the way into this guy's house. This is again. He is a bit of a character, and he's got his big old gears set up with his gadgets to create electricity, which gives us another brush power to summon big bolts of electricity, and we will not be using that one ever again. But it does look really cool. I will give him that. So nice job to again here. And now I also wanted to say one more flashing warning. Sadly, this area being broken is going to do that again. So flashing warning coming up here. I'll say when it's over.
Oh, yeah. It's worse than
that one is much worse. And now it is over. No more flashing. We're all good here.
So there's these rocks here. They're very thirsty rocks. So we're gonna give them something to drink.
Mm-hmm.
And our kindness to those rocks is gonna inspire the water brush god Nudegami to give us yet another brush technique, a third one. And this one lets us make it rain at any time. I don't know why we would want it to rain. But I guess, it would be really useful if we wanted to delay someone's flight. Not that we would do that.
That is true. No, I wouldn't.
Anyone would ever do that.
I wouldn't do that. Hey, we didn't have the power when the flight was delayed, so you can't prove it was us.
Yeah, we've got an alibi.
We have an alibi.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're on the same page.
Anyway. All right. So with that, we have gotten all of those other secondary powers, as well as the Veil of Mist, and we can finally get back to moving forward in the game. And that is, in fact, the last time we're backtracking. No more backtracking, I promise. I promise this time. We're gonna go actually, beat the game or something. This is Webkir. It's a city town of the Oina tribe, who are wolf people. It's pretty cool. But I'm just gonna get out of here.
They're very angry because it's snowing.
Well, one of them is. I suppose all of them are mad at snow. One of them is just kind of mad at our existence. But in any case, our goal is to run up a mountain for a really long while, and that sounds slow. So instead, what if I just got out of bounds and fell into a house that was at the very top of the hill?
If you ever had
running all the way around,
a grandparent or another relative who complained about having to walk uphill to get to their school, you should suggest
try this.
They should have just done an interior clip.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of bounds, fall a kilometer, and wind up at the top of the hill. And also, it's really easy to get out of bounds. It's not a more
common trick. It is.
So that gets us into Waku Shrine. That single trick, getting out of bounds there, is pretty easy to do even without KTs. And that saves 30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, we skipped a huge section of the game.
It skips actually going back in time.
It does. Which ironically loses quite a lot of time. So, yeah. The going back in time, there's no new brush powers back there for us, luckily. So we just won't be going there. We're good. We're good. Anyway, so you see this big, huge tower right here? I'm going to jump a lot, so enjoy watching me jump a lot.
While you jump a lot, is it a good time for me to talk about some cool stuff that we've got coming up?
It is a great time to do that.
Well, we are having SGDQ coming up really, really soon, a little bit more than a week from now. But before then, you can get ready for Summer Games Done Quick 2025 by checking out our SGDQ ambassadors all throughout the month of June, including the rest of this month, the next couple days. Support Doctors Without Borders by joining each ambassadors community in the lead up to SGDQ. Use ! SGDQ ambassadors to check out the full schedule. So there's a bunch of really cool people that are already raising money for SGDQ, getting that hype going, and this is the final stretch of their fundraising, so absolutely check them out, give them some support. And also, if you want to submit a prize to us, we're still taking prize submissions. Visit gamesdonequick.com for more information on that as well. So it's the home stretch. We're so excited. It's going to be absolutely incredible.
So, getting back to the run, we have a slot machine, which we are going to abuse the power of brush buffering to bypass the intended method of solving this. And the power of our cheating at gambling is so inspiring to the brush gods that they're going to give us one final brush technique. Well, not quite. There's one other one that we have to get after this.
And here's one more little brush technique. This is our last main brush power, though.
Mm-hmm.
And it lets us freeze things, and once again, we will not be using it again.
You see, that spider was just a little bit toasty. Wanted to chill out. I know I would really appreciate having the power of Blizzard right now, where I'm at, where it's like 100 degrees. So I think we're just doing a service to that spider.
You're probably right. I certainly wouldn't want to be constantly on fire.
Exactly.
So earlier we got Cherry Bomb 3, which let us do not one, not two, but 3 cherry bombs on the ground. Incredibly cool. We had 2 PS1s before, now we have 3 PS1s. Incredible. But Power Slash 3 is actually like more damage, and it lets you destroy more overworld stuff too, so it's actually useful. So yeah, it's actually a good ability. It costs like a lot, but luckily we have lots and lots of money because you just get a lot of money when you play again.
Just like the original PS3, it costs a lot of money.
That is true. That was clever. Anyway, so you might have noticed we didn't beat that dungeon either. We're really just not doing good at beating dungeons, but they should have put the brush technique with the boss if they wanted to do that. So instead of beating the dungeon and then a big arc flies into the sky for us to get into, we're just gonna go in anyway. Because as it happens, the loading zone to enter this big arc in the sky is just always here, even if the arc itself is still stuck in the lake.
Happy Pride Month.
Woo-hoo.
A brief rainbow bridge. And that brings us to the final dungeon. This is the Arc of Yamato. It is not really a dungeon. It is more like a boss rush, featuring all of the main bosses of the game, except the one we literally just skipped, because the developers didn't want to overload you with the owls. So we will not be seeing Lechku and Nechku, but we will be seeing all the other bosses we skipped earlier in the run.
One interesting thing there is right at the front there's a shop, and I actually did buy something from the shop. Now, all our weapons from when you normally play do carry through to a New Game Plus file, except for the top tier of every weapon. So in this case, the top tier bead power was it's really good. And so I have bought it again on this file, just so I can have it for this final boss rush, and I'll be using it on a couple fights. not on this one. This one was just the old bread and butter, some slips. That's all you really need. And then we can get out of here.
Oh.
What you just saw right there is that I was a little too close, and so this portal takes you out of the room. But if you start inside of the portal, it doesn't let you take the portal, and then you have to leave the portal and go back in the portal, and then the portal will work. So a little bit of shenanigans, but we carry on.
Thank you, Starlight Katie, for all your puns.
Has someone been punning it up in the chat?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Oh yeah, they've been having
I'll look
a
at those
great
later.
time. You love to see it.
So this brings us back to Orochi. So we did fight Orochi once already, but we fought the old Orochi. This is the new and improved Orochi. But the fight is pretty much exactly the same. We're going to do the triple head technique by abusing the Earth Head Slam attack. And as long as we can dodge all of the clouds from the Poison Head, we can get them all roaring at once. And just get them all drunk twice, and that will progress to phase 2. Once we set up our machine gun yet again.
Yeah, so buying that new and improved bead was just so that I had a new and improved machine gun to take down this fight faster, because as this is a later game boss fight, you are meant to it has way more health, so I need a better gun in order to take him down. One other thing is I used a vengeance slip in this. That is because there's fire raining down from the sky trying to kill me, and in order to prevent it from doing so, I have put on the vengeance slip, which prevents all damage for like 30 seconds.
So the string of beads does technically make you immune to damage, but it does not make you immune to knockback, which the vengeance slip does do. And Lego there is immediately KTing out of bounds. That is to just a faster way to get between the different fights. The warp points for each of these fights does extend infinitely downwards, so we can just hit it from below as long as we get directly below it. Which is neat, because otherwise we would pretty quickly hit the universal void plane. Here's the Spider Queen, arachnophobia warning. Don't worry, she's going to be gone in a jiffy. All we have to do is turn her over, exposing her weak point, which we then strike for massive damage. And then Lego's going to position Ami right next to one of the Spider Queen's hand, feet, leg thingies, because that tells us where the warp point will spawn. Excellent positioning.
But one interesting thing is that because I have decided to KT into the portal, I actually skipped a cutscene that was supposed to play. And now the downside of skipping that cutscene is that if I ever play another that same type of cutscene in front of the other bosses, it'll crash the game. So I'm gonna have to keep going into these portals, and I don't have a choice anymore. It's either this or crash the game, one of those options. So as you can see here, sometimes you can fail and mess up, and I'm just gonna have to try again. Whoopsie. They are pretty small targets, so you do gotta be careful.
I'm personally rooting for the crash the game option.
I would like to finish the game, so
I love crashing Okami.
that is true. You do love crashing Okami. Yeah, that is the goal.
There are so many
There we go.
wonderful ways to crash Okami. It's one of my favorite varieties of glitch. Anyway, upcoming next, we have the boss, Crimson Helm. So he's gonna... yeah, that was Crimson Helm.
Yep. Well, sadly, it was no match for the power of lots of power, and I did get Galestorm, so, you know, what you gonna do? He did get the last laugh, though. You know, we thought we would ignore him forever. So, like I mentioned, it is faster, or the game will crash if I go talk to these cutscenes in front of it. And it's actually faster here to go to that cutscene from between these and then just run the rest of the way to the portal. But it would crash the game now, so I have to jump AT on over to this portal.
That's going
This is going to be Ninetales again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's even easier than last time because having the machine gun makes it very easy to have Ninetales do an instant roar at us. Where with the shotgun, it can actually be a little tenuous whether or not she'll immediately roar at you. The beads don't shoot quite as far forward. So you have to be kind of right up in her grill and get it just right. While with these, you can kind of just click the button and then you win the game. And last time, you know, I had to shotgun her down. This time, she will be machine gunned down. So, yeah, it's a little brutal, quite honest, but it is efficient.
I mean, we were already doing some pretty brutal stuff to Ninetales with the electricity.
True. That is like what her dungeon is centered around, though. If her weakness was thunder, why would her dungeon be centered around it? I feel like this is very obvious. An obvious oversight on Ninetales' part. So now that we've defeated all of the boss rush here, we get to go and take this portal to the final boss. Now, the final boss is a gauntlet. If you've played casually, you know that it's actually a very long fight casually. And it will be a somewhat long fight, at least compared to the other bosses for us. The first thing I'm going to do is kick Yami really hard. And this will immediately give us back a brush power. Yami took all of our brush powers, but luckily, if we beat him up a little bit, we get them back. So, you know, it's all good.
Yeah, this boss is made up of 5 phases, and we have to get all of the brush techniques back. The way it works is the game will wait until Yami gets hit and is below a certain amount of HP before giving the next brush technique in each phase. And for better or worse, we have pretty much unlimited damage, which means we are never constrained by damage. We're always constrained by just the order in which Yami gives us the brush techniques, which means this is an auto-scroller. We are just going to be grinding out the rest of the phases.
Yep. There is slight bits of a skill and just like memorization of how it goes, but other than that, it is mostly just do the thing and then watch as we get a power back.
Yep, there's a couple times when we do have to use specific brush techniques, but it is a fairly straightforward fight. Any shout-outs you want to give LEGO?
Definitely shout-outs just to the community in general. Being part of the Okami community has been one of the greatest choices I ever made was getting into speedrunning Okami. It's a really positive community. If you ever need help, there's lots of people who, including me, who would love to help you out. Shout outs to my wife, Prino, for being a very supportive person with this, who has also speedrun Okami before. Do you have any shout outs already you'd like to make?
I absolutely have to agree. Shoutouts to the community. Even when I joined back in 2019, there were a lot of really positive and welcoming folks who gave us a lot of encouragement in developing the run, and who had also put in a lot of work by themselves already. I especially want to give shoutouts to Krino, you Lego, Kinnan, Skyrion, and several more people. I don't want to make anyone feel left out, but I have to call it somewhere.
I actually just remembered as well. I would like to also give shoutouts to Rifty RTA, who has pushed the New Game Plus any percent category a lot, and importantly, just set a world record actually just today. A new world record for the category. So
Whoa, GG's.
he has been a really good, a great runner and a great member of the community. So yeah, just shoutouts for him.
He's also the world record holder of this category, New Game Plus All Brushes, and a top runner in pretty much every category. Obviously, we have to give shoutouts to Games Done Quick for giving us the opportunity to show off this run.
It was my pleasure. This is a really wonderful run. Y'all are both fantastic. Made this run feel like it took 15 minutes, even though it was over 2 hours. Amazing stuff.
And of course, if anyone is seeing this run and thinking, I want to run this for myself, or I want to run some other category for Okami, we have a speedrun.com page, speedrun.com/Okami. We have a Discord server with lots of welcoming, helpful folks. If you have any questions at all on how to get started, we can answer. We have an entire wiki, which is dutifully maintained, which has info on pretty much every trick in the run, or in every category, as well as some glitches that are not useful in any run, such as the various ways to crash the game. So yeah, we have lots of great resources that are always improving for anyone interested in Okami, either as a runner or just to learn more about it. And we are coming up fairly soon on time, which we could call there. We do time
normally,
this. Go ahead.
Yeah, we call time right about now on the results screen.
GG.
Yes, so we do time this run by
yes.
in-game time. So what did we get, Lego?
Well, there was a break in the middle. It could have been a better run. Yeah, I got a 212 here. With the break, probably would have been closer to like a 206 or 7. So not bad.
I would call that excellent.
Yeah. I guess I do also want to say I've been streaming a lot lately myself. So if you want to watch more Okami streams, feel free to follow me on Twitch. It's just my name, Lego Vegas. So yeah.
Yep, and if you want to see some of my stuff, I don't stream terribly often, and I don't usually do speedruns much nowadays, but especially if you're interested in reverse engineering or glitch hunting in this game, feel free to go to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/loveoride, or to go to my YouTube channel, which is linked to from various places, where I post lots of videos about little discoveries in Okami. So thank you so much. You've been a wonderful audience. Thank you to chat for being so collaborative with the questions and with the puns.
But yeah, I think that's it, at least from me and Oride.
Fantastic. Y'all were incredible. What a great run. So much jumping, so many dogs. What more could you want? It was fantastic. And as a reminder, this whole show today was an SGDQ Sunday preview of some of the games that we've got going on SGDQ Sunday. So that's not for a couple more weeks, but it's really, really soon. The first 2 games of the event are going to be Sonic the Hedgehog 2 and then Okami HD. So remember to go ahead and check back in for that. And, well, if you missed out on the rest of Creature Corner and also Out of the Box before that, stay tuned as we replay both shows right after this. And make sure to tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. Eastern for As Seen on TV.